today I have some alpha leaks for you from the ICP team. It's a really interesting kind of route that they're taking, and I think we're starting to see some of the seeds planted within the wider crypto market, but the ICP team I think has kind of accurately pointed this out pretty early on. So I want to talk a little bit more about this, and essentially kind of what we're going to be talking about today is some of these what I would call like maybe app-led marketing initiatives is I guess what we could call it, because obviously what we've seen from ICP, the price has struggled a little bit historically. You know, a lot of people have been burned on ICP price movement, even though the layer one itself is showing fundamentally very strong and very sound growth. We haven't seen too much coming from price. I think this is fair to say. I don't know that anybody would argue with me on this particularly, or this particular point. But what we are seeing coming from the ICP team, just generally in the kind of ICP related projects, we're seeing, I would say, a pretty clear indication of what their real strategy is. And we actually have some leaks, as I mentioned earlier on, to kind of talk a little bit about this. And so first off, I kind of want to paint the picture of what we're actually looking at and what, in my opinion, could be kind of this next stage for the crypto market, and why I think ICP could be very well positioned to kind of continue along and be successful in this new market that we could potentially be seeing coming along. So first off, what we can see is this is an X post. This happened actually at the beginning of February. So this is about 6 weeks old at this point. But what I'm showing is kind of over time, we've seen people kind of talk about this is probably what's going to be happening, and this is where things are going to be going. This is the beginning of the utility season IMO. From now on, people will think twice before buying dogs and cats with their hard-earned money. Get in alts that have real revenue, even better if they share it with holders. This is, I think, is a huge point here, and don't have to sell team tokens to survive. So this is kind of the first post. And then we also have another one that's kind of something very similar. This is from just a couple days ago, about 4 days ago. We can see only 3 useful things in crypto right now. Bitcoin is digital gold, stablecoins, protocols, and dApps generating revenue built on top of Ethereum and Solana. I think this is a bit limited here, but again, this is this person's own take. But I think we can see exactly what people are kind of looking at as we start to move along, which is utility, value, real things doing real things, right? That is the important thing that we are seeing kind of from the team. And why it's important is because people want to see things making money. If you have some AI token that does cool things and stuff and whatever else, well, that's great, but what does it do, right? Does it make money? Is some of this money shared with token holders? Because again, if you hold a token on, like, let's say you own a pump.fund governance token, exactly what does that get you, right? I mean, why would the value of the token go up? I've been hammering on this for months and months, basically ever since I started creating this channel. That has kind of been my whole thing and my own investment criteria of, okay, well, does this make money? Great. Is there a way for me to access some of the value accretion of this token? That may not necessarily be in direct buybacks or direct revenue sharing or anything like that, but there has to be some way that the value accretion eventually makes it to the token holder. Governance tokens do not do that. Meme coins do not do that. I understand that kind of previous until now, it's been very kind of murky from a regulatory perspective as it relates specifically to companies based and building in the US. But this is what we need to see, and this is kind of, I think, the next step that we're going to be taking, particularly as we start to see a little bit more crypto clarity and regulatory clarity within the crypto space. So that kind of brings us to this next thing here, and I have some kind of some alpha leaks here that we talk about with regards to the Oazy wallet specifically. Now, I have a source within the ICP team and the ICP ecosystem that is talking about essentially kind of some of the things that Oazy Wallet is going to be doing here in the near future. So the leaks that I have for you here as it relates to Oazy Wallet, and again, we'll get back into why I think this is important, but some of the leaks that we have are they are looking to add 2 more non-EVM chains in likely the next 3 to 6 months. 6 months, I think kind of being the kind of the more general or kind of safe timeline that they're going with. And the priority right now is adding EVM chains, as logically they'll be quicker just because, of course, they're all kind of based on the same framework. And so getting all of them integrated is going to be pretty seamless. So the ones that they're going to be looking and focusing on adding kind of in the immediate term is Binance Base and then perhaps AVAX. And then after that, they are going to be adding 2 more non-EVM chains. Again, which ones those are, we'll have to see. But I think that is really, really interesting and really good news, because obviously they're building kind of the value accretion and the value accrual, kind of making Oizy this super wallet app, which I think is really good, because a lot of people will just be able to interact with things from the wallet directly, which I think is obviously good news here. They are going to be extending Sprinkles, which is again a token, kind of like an airdrop initiative for the Oizy coin, which is going to be coming initially. I think it's the Oizy coin. I'm not 100% certain on that. That this is still kind of a little bit up in the air. It may be, other various airdrops or things like that. But the rumor is that there will be kind of an airdrop associated with these Sprinkles. So if you are interested in potentially farming an airdrop, an Oizy wallet would be the way to do that. And then also no timeline for this quite yet, but ICP swap is also on the roadmap to get added into the Oizy wallet, all that type of stuff. And then also water neuron staking directly inside the wallet too, which I think is really, really interesting as well. So again, we've got a pretty decent bit of leaks coming out and some alpha coming out from one of my sources within ICP. Obviously, that it's always great to have kind of those sources in there. I've been meeting more and more people from the ICP team, and so those who are willing to kind of give me some insider information so I can share it with you, of course, is very, very nice to see, and I do really appreciate it, and I'm sure all of you appreciate it as well. If you do, of course, a like, a subscribe, all that type of stuff does really help me out, and of course shows the team and the ICP team and group, all that type of stuff, that having some of this more kind of transparent and kind of marketing forward communication is a good thing for the project and the team and everything like that overall. So focusing on the Oizy wallet specifically, one thing that also isn't really considered too much here is it's a fully on-chain wallet, right? So there's not any essentially interacting with AWS and all this type of stuff, which again is very important, because that is how Bybit was hacked. A lot of people don't realize this, but what you can see is there's no extensions, there's no downloads, there's less ways to get attacked here, because everything is on chain. You've got secure passkey access, built-in support, and a frictionless crypto experience. You can see here also as the relevant things. Oizy, I'll actually give them a follow. I didn't realize I was not following them, but they've got BTC, Ethereum, Solana, and ICP all in the first fully on-chain wallet, which is again really great. No apps, no extensions, anything like that. It's just secure self-custody. One of the things that's very, very important to note, again, as I'm going to kind of cover once more, is a lot of these on-chain, these hot wallets aren't fully on-chain. They're built on AWS or Google Cloud or something like that, and they have kind of the interaction with the chain, which does allow for kind of attack vectors for hackers. That's very, very important to note. Now, moving on, before we kind of get a little bit more into why this is so important, all that type of stuff, we can take a look at the quick ICP price. We can see we have seen some price potentially bottom a little bit, which is, I would say, good to see. Obviously, we're not continuing to bleed, which is obviously very nice. RSI is continuing to recover as well. So again, all great things all the way around. If you are looking to trade, do anything like that, I do have that link to BTCC in the description below. 10% bonus on first time deposits, as well as extra trading bonuses of up to $10,055 per user, if that's something that's interesting to you, and then no VPN or KYC necessary. Again, all this is up to you. If you are not an experienced trader, you probably should not be doing leverage trading. They do have spot trading as well, but just make sure that you're being careful. They do also have demo trading as well, if that is something that's interesting to you. Like I said, just in the description below, if that's something that you are wanting to take a little bit closer look at. Now, moving on to kind of the final point here, and kind of before we get into this, I want to talk about kind of the Oizy first wallet experience. We are also seeing this with Caffeine AI as well. I know Caffeine has a lot more kind of hype surrounding it rather than what we're seeing out of Oizy, but all of this is essentially the same thing, right? These are real, useful, valuable apps that people are building on ICP. And this is important because what we know is that as things are built on ICP and as more people use things that are built on ICP, the cycle burn rate goes up. When the cycle burn rate goes up, obviously the deflation of ICP coins increases. As the deflation of ICP coins increases, there becomes the possibility in which ICP overall becomes a deflationary token, in which scarcity is going to increase, and people likely are going to be clamoring to get their hands on ICP because you do need ICP to run all of these apps and the cycle burn rates, all that type of stuff. So This is kind of the roundabout, kind of sneaky way that they're going about kind of increasing value to ICP. And ultimately, I think this makes a lot of sense, because really, what is the point of a layer one? For people to actually use it, right? What is the best way for people to actually use something, build something that people actually want to use? Caffeine AI, a great example. Oizy Wallet, a great example as well. Obviously, they're doing some of the more standard kind of crypto marketing, crypto kind of incentivization techniques like airdrops and things like that to get people on board and kind of supporting the project. But overall, it kind of boils down to value, usefulness, all of this type of stuff. And one thing that we can see actually is that Oizy Wallet's going to be integrating Level USD. This is a very, very new partnership that is very cool. This is, again, you can see no relevance or reference to ICP here, but this is something that is very cool, because you have stablecoins that essentially are now going to be providing you value rather than just sitting in your wallet. It's essentially kind of like passive staking for stablecoins. As we all know, stablecoins are very, very valuable, a big winner of 2025 so far, just because this is how institutions are starting to get involved within stablecoins. As we know, Tether, which is only 52 people, made just as much money last year as BlackRock, who has about 20,000 people. So the power of stablecoins is very, very clear to see here. And so what we can see is this is kind of a interesting and unique take on stablecoins to essentially allow you to generate yield, no centralized risk, optimized for DeFi, all of this type of stuff. I do think that we will probably start to see more and more type of stuff surrounding unique and cool and interesting ways to actually work with stablecoins, because of course they are very, very valuable right now. So that's something that I want to just kind of go over some of these leaks and some of the alpha that we've seen from our sources inside ICP, just to give you guys a kind of a stay on that bleeding edge of all the information and things that are coming out, just like I'm getting, fed some of this information. So of course I want to bring it to you guys as well. Again, a like and a subscribe, all of this type of stuff is very, very helpful to me. Also, if you are interested in looking to join my private community, I do have that link in the description below to join Patreon. It's a great place to be. Obviously very small and kind of low-key community right now, but over time we'll add to it and continue. I'm hoping to get analysts and traders and all this type of stuff in there over time, but right now it's just a place to hang out with me, ask me questions more directly, a lot of that type of stuff if you are interested. So like I said, if you're interested, join there, like, subscribe, shares, all that type of stuff is very, very helpful and does do a lot for me, as well as ICP and the projects and the Oizy Wallet and all the various teams and things like that as well. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.